the opportunity to come here and present these
results. And I'm the king's palisade in Jelling. The king I'm referring to is the imperialistic king from Denmark, King Harald Bluetooth. This excavation that I'm going to talk about here was a part of a big research and excavation project, which is a cooperation between the Viking Museum, the National Museum in Copenhagen, and Aarhus University. And my colleague Annie Pedersen is going to talk more about the results from this Jelling project. So I'm specifically going to present the results from a pond which contained preserved traces of this palisade that is enhancing the whole monumental area in Jelling. Here we have a 10th century picture of a map showing Denmark. This is where we have Jelling in the middle of Jutland with the red star. We have the other of Bluetooth's architectural works, the ring fortresses around the country, Agersborg in the north, Fyrkat southeast from that, and Nonnebakken and Fjorden, Trelleborg and the newly discovered Borging and Sealand here, and also some in Scania. We also have the huge wooden bridge built by Herr Bluetooth, founding Enge, and Ribe here, which Morten talked about, and the earthen defense structures here in the south, which some of are also conducted by Herr Bluetooth. So, firstly, to see where this is an aerial photography from Jelling from 2010, and we have the palisade lined out. I know it's not so good this picture, but with a red line here. The grey shadow here in the middle is the huge ship setting. We have the two mounds here and the church in the middle. Here is from 2012. This is after the demarcation of the monumental area conducted by the municipality of Vejle with funding from different funds in order to visualize the monument, how huge it is. So here you all again see the palisade in nice white concrete. So, but it all started back in 2006. And the reason for this trial excavation that Viking Museum conducted were, among other things, metal detector findings. We don't have that much in Jelling, which is also a distinctive part of the Jelling area. But we found, among others, a golden treatises from the 7th century, which are found in, I don't know, about 3, 4 maybe in Denmark. You must correct me if I'm wrong, but not that many. And also there was conducted magnetic surveys around this area which showed anomalies which turned out to be these stones here with blue and on the photograph here. So Viking Museum applied for funding and got funding in 2006 and conducted these trial excavations. This is now I don't have a map here, but this is like northeast from the northern mountain in Jelling. And luckily enough, in this rather small field, we found the palisade with the only entrance that is found, part of a Trelleborg house, and the northern part of the ship setting. So everything came from there. Yes, very, very fantastic find, and a very new one, because until now the whole focus had been on the monuments, the mounds, but now suddenly we have something inside this. So this resulted in a application for money, which was the Jelling project with the National Museum and Aarhus University. And this Jelling project was launched in 2009 and is still continuing now with publishing continuing right now. So I will just shortly show you all the yellow area here is showing the excavated area in the frames of this project. And the mostly excavated, investigated area is this northeastern corner here. And here you see the palisade as a line. We have 3 Trelleborg houses, one here, and one here. But Anne is going to talk more about this. I'm going to concentrate here on this pond here, Smedam, also called. This small lake is very important because if you reconstruct the palisade line, it runs right through the pond. And we all were aware of and fantasized also think about if there was some wood preserved in this, because all we really needed in Jelling was a dendrochronological dating, exactly, to get an exact date of this. Okay, yes, I think just a moment, I have to. Yes. We suddenly got the opportunity because in 2012, the municipality of Jelling was planning this visualization, very difficult word to pronounce, visualization of the monumental area. And they hired a landscape architect who planned the removal of this pond. So the local population in Jelling were not especially thrilled, but the archaeologists, we had our hands up, because now we got the opportunity to investigate this area. So we had some questions we had frequently asked, and one of these were how old was this pond actually? Nobody knew. And also, if the pond existed here during the Viking Age, did this palisade respect the pond, or did it like make go around or make a pause, you know? And if it went right through, was there then preserved good enough to do a dendrochronological dating analysis? This is the pond here. Here, this is the southern mound here, covering the ship settings, southern corner. So here, and as you see with the green line here is the supposed palisade line. And here is also the pond, and here is the place where we then excavated. So here, after the pond was emptied, we went out and did some sampling. We did some geological samples by drilling, and also took some samples for botanical analysis. But we didn't. We weren't that optimistic because we knew that this pond had been emptied and drained several times in modern times. We also had pictures from the big grading machines moving around in the pond. So we didn't expect us to be that lucky, and the results were also discouraging. It showed that it was a huge mixture of everything. But nevertheless, we went out in 2012 in December, the worst of all months, and it was not an easy task either, as you can see here. I was just gliding around in this clay area. But nevertheless, we actually found some, well, rather pathetic small bits, but still 4 oak, it turned out to be oak, but wooden poles, who actually were placed parallel on a line where the supposed palisade line should be. The reason for a certain kind of pessimism here was that the line is also parallel to the modern side of the pond, so it could be modern also. But we sent in samples to a mass dating and got the results back, which dated it back to the Viking Age, and it was oak. So this was very good news actually for us. This was, now it's maybe not so important, but this was a normal trial excavation according to the Museum Act in Denmark. But the next level of it now, that we found it, was supposed to be a research excavation, because it wouldn't be disturbed or destroyed in this, because when this was found, the Agency for Cultural Heritage in Denmark determined that there should be water on it again, because it has to be preserved in situ afterwards. But we got we were allowed to conduct a research excavation on that small part that would be like 5 meters that had been exposed already by us. And we did that the next year, and it doesn't look very nice here. And soon, when we find it, we got our first question answered here. This trench, the palisade trench, was dug. If you follow that bluish clay here, you can see the trench. This is how the palisade trench actually looked like when we discovered it. This is the most normal picture with a very homogenic filling in the top. This is only like 30 centimeters under a modern road, so we're actually very lucky to get a picture of it. Here we have some post impressions of the plants actually here, and this is in a very low, deep level, also with the impressions of the posts and the plants. This gave us a picture of the construction of it, like a wall type construction with these side posts. So here we have the palisade that was a trench dug to a wetland area. So moving on. So here we see again this, if you remember the picture I just showed you, here we have the trench dug through, which is the very similar, same trench we have found elsewhere. We have the plank, like a wall type architecture with supported posts for every second meter, kind of. So this was verified by the excavations we had. So, and here are the preservation of it. It actually seemed like it was very, very good preservation because it was all we ever wanted, like to get the plants. But actually, when the conservators looked at it, they said it was a very poor condition, especially on the northern side. This is, if you imagine, a very clear inclination towards the north of this palisade. And on the other side, it was very badly preserved. I don't know if it was because it had been exposed to some oxygen and then started decomposing. I don't know why, but it was very badly preserved there. We got profiles in each side, the eastern and the western. This is the western profile. We have the southern mound behind this yellow car here. I will show you a better picture afterwards. This is just to show that we made a good profile for sampling for archaeobotanical analysis, and there were surprisingly good preservation conditions and large amounts of pollen in this. All samples contain preserved pollen from heather, plantain, grass, and some pollen from cereal crop. And the sediments dated back 3,000 years before the erection of the palisade. So it was from around the Neolithic time that the lake existed here. And we were able to reconstruct the landscape development here. That in the beginning the landscape was dominated by wood, and in the 10th century the surrounding landscape consisted of fields, grazing areas, and minor areas with heath. These pollen analyses were also supplemented by analyzed pollen analysis from the grey mounds, the southern mound and the northern mound, which showed the same actual development. But this also shows, with the pollen from cereal crop, that this was not a marginal area. It was actually used quite a lot at that time in the Viking Age. So here are some details. This is the western profile and some job pictures. But this is just to show the eastern profile, and this was heavily damaged by modern dredging here. So we were really lucky about the western profile and about the palisade, because it could have gone wrong. But this is the western profile here. We have the trench here with a flat bottom going up. We have a plank sitting here. We have a filling here with clay and subsoil, and it has been set up on each side here to stabilize the palisade. We have a lens of blue clay to the south, when they have dug it up, just showing it on the southern side. We have a very interesting, a very important observation here. We have a layer of charcoal going up from the palisade and into the inner side, which corresponds with the observations we made elsewhere in the palisade trench in the area, but also in the Trelleborg houses, the charcoal. So there is a charcoal layer in the whole area. And another interesting thing is this earthen layer here. There is some clayish sand here, which perhaps could be some remains of a earthen wall. We don't know, but that's quite an interesting feature also. Some other details from the construction. We have small. There's a small wooden wedge going under the palisade to stabilize it. This is taken from up, so this is like a flat stone and also a small wooden plank. So there are a lot of adjustments. So it seems like these planks were prefabricated elsewhere, transported to this area, and then the final preparation took place here. So here we have this whole picture. This was the dream picture from the start, that we could expose the whole palisade at one step picture, but no, it didn't work out that way. So we had to take one by one or two by two, and then we reconstructed it digitally, the whole. And here is quite clear also that there is an inclination towards the north. This is seen from the south, to the north. And why this is, we don't know. This could be a deliberate, destruction, or it could be natural, some kind of a geological thing from the pressure from the south. There's a lot of earth here on the southern side. So, but the most important here, why we did this, was to get this dendrochronological dating. We took 12 samples that were sent into the National Museum. Niels Bonde did these dendrochronological datings. 11 samples worked out, and one had preserved sapwood, which was very good to do this. It gave a dating of the felling of the trees to between 958 and 985 AD. And then doing the maths, it gave a plausible closing date to the year 968. And if you ask Niels Bonde, he would say that it was rather around the year 970 if he was asked. So now we had the kind of a dating here. It's also very interesting here that we have some datings, dendrochronological datings, down from Daneviev, which also dates to 968. So this is a very interesting date, actually. So, but as I showed you previously, we have this. We got verified these observations we had about the construction. We have the plants here, and look, isn't it beautiful? I know it's very everyday life for you. You have the tree preserved everywhere, but for us this was just dreamlike to have it. And the dimensions were like 15 centimeters deep or thick, and 35 centimeters wide, the planks. The posts here were about between 22 and 25 centimeters in diameter. And the function of these posts, because they really stood very regularly, and they stood upright, not leaning, not supporting. But nevertheless, we think that they were supposed to strengthen the wall, and maybe also to scaffolding and upper construction on this. The height of this might have been about, we have calculated about 4 meters in all. So this is like a tentative reconstruction of it. Here we have the whole area, the pond. This is the northeastern corner, which is showed here with these trillable houses. This is the entrance here. This is a new illustration. This is coming from the. This I have got loaned from the upcoming exhibition in Royal Jelling. This is a German company that has been doing this illustration based on our notations and observations, how it could have looked like. And here is like the upper scaffolding with the guard walking here. This is how it could have looked like. So this is like the whole area. It's to show the strict symmetry over the area, and this is going through all Bluetooth buildings actually. And I'm just showing this to show how much symmetry and regularity this is. My colleague is going to talk more about this symmetry, and also for those who are really into these mathematic things. We have published it in Norwegian Archaeological Review last year, 2014, where this there is a chapter on this symmetry and all the maths and angles and things. But one interesting part I will show you that there is this center here is in the chamber grave in the northern mound. But this is like very, very typical for Herr Bluetooth, this thing. And also the kind of idea that this was a measurable, if he could scale the monuments up and down in size, like from the drawing board and to the nature. But this is like showing here the excavation area we have here. We have the palisade trench here, the plants. One of the interesting things, which were not like a part of this excavation subject here, but we found a huge stone here. This is like the southern part of the bench here. Stone here. Behind that, a large cultural layer, which is shown here. And a lot of wood, both preparated wood and not preparated wood, and also animal bones in this area. We were not able to dig down deeper here to see how deep it was and what it was, because it was not in the frames of this research project. But we took some samples we took the bones here and did some AMS dating. And the jaw from a goat or a sheep came back as between 972 and 1048, which is quite interesting. Shows this activity to the south, outside of the palisade area. And the other one, the cattle, is a little bit younger, but also very interesting because it shows a kind of continuity in the area also after it is destroyed. So, but as I said earlier, the research has been very concentrated on the monumental area, and in the frames of this Jelling project that we are working on, we have been analyzing a bigger area around it. We have Jelling here, so we have been operating with this focus area, which has the radius of 10 to 20 kilometers, and an expanded area here, 20 to 40 kilometers. And I have registered all kinds of finds: settlement, grave, single finds, hoards, runic stones, place names, bridges, roads, hollow roads, and etc. to see if there is what impact Jelling has had and on why it is there. So, but I'm not going to talk more about that. Just telling that we are doing it. It's going to be published maybe next year or something. Yes. But that's very interesting. That's another thing. And just to show the other contemporary settlements in Jelling, we have Jelling North, which I have been talking about the settlement here. And this is a small, but the most important is this one south of. It is called Skånge. It's about 450 meters south from the palisade. And there is actually found a settlement from exactly the same period as this Jelling North, and also some houses that are very, very similar. But unfortunately, again, this is a regular Museum Act 8 excavation that are very limited, so we can just excavate in the area that is going to be built on. So we just get a small bit of the area. But this is the most, and otherwise these are a little bit longer. And then we have the oxen road is going out here. It's a rather broad corridor here. So there are not that much of settlements from the same period in Jelling. Yes, but and then back to the conclusive remarks of this paper. It was that if you go back to the palisade trench, the trench is dug through a wetland area in a minor hollow. It had a predetermined location counter to a terrain-determined location. And that's because I think that if it was planned and then conducted, just on spot there, I think and for defensive purposes, I think they would have used the wetland area more wisely than just dig it right through. So and then to the next, the plants and the side posts seem to be prefabricated elsewhere and with the final preparation on the site. The burned horizon is corresponding with observations elsewhere in the palisade trench, and it's rather it could be a traces of a destruction, attack, or a deliberate destruction, either by his own or maybe some kind of a cult thing, as we always say about things we don't know actually. And then the palisade in function here. First and foremost, it was intended as a physical marker of the status and independence of the monument and persons it embraced. And secondly, maybe for defensive purposes. You cannot deny the defensive perspective in it because it's so huge and high. But yes. And then the radiocarbon dated animal bones points towards some continuity in the area. We have the bones, we have this cultural layer. We also have some houses from the 11th century in the area, but not many. But there is some kind of continuity, nevertheless, in this area. The aftermath, the results, the impact of this excavation was that the finding of the palisade resulted in a in situ preservation. So they filled it up with water again, and the rest, there is actually about between 20 and 30 meters of palisade still down under the pond. I think that's a good choice to keep it and not excavate the whole thing, because maybe who knows, in 20 years they have much better analysis, and also for the mediating part, it's very good, strong to know that it's still there. And today the whole palisade is a protected monument. Thank you for your attention.